Hello, fellow reality seekers. Today I wanted to talk about how does tarot and cards in general actually work. I have noticed that there's such a limited information on internet when it comes to how tarot works, and when I used to get into the topic and when I started to read cards myself, I found it so confusing myself because no one could properly explain to me how does it actually work. Anyone who I watched or everything that I read was so confusing.
And then the cards basically create a ripple effect in the entire universe and travel from the past to the future and from the future to the present to give you that specific information and then fly out in this specific exact order that was planned from the beginning of the entire time.
Now that I am an experienced card reader, I can kind of have my own interpretation, and I think it can help many people understand that practice better. So if you're here to understand how does this magnificent tool work and how does it actually make any sense, then I'm here to give you all the answers. So let's start from the fact that there's two ways of reading tarot. In general, tarot cards, but there's generally two ways, So there's one way, which is just reading the meaning of a card. So let's say you pull cards and then you get a card and then you say, oh, that card has this and that meaning. So the moon is all about changing your perspective on things, and it's about seeing many sides of things. Second way, on the contrary, is to pull cards and to just look at them and just interpret it on your own and say, what do you see, kind of intuitively. I feel like some of you in this reading might have this mindset of waiting for the good timing. I feel like some of you maybe might have been a bit stagnant. And basically, the first way is usually how new beginners read tarot, because you just focus on learning the meanings of a card. But second one is usually what experienced tarot card readers do, especially when they already know the meanings, so they can kind of play around with. And that's essentially how you read tarot. You just know the meanings, but then you just kind of free interpret every card that pops out and the combination of it. So what tarot essentially is, it is a gateway for your intuition. That is literally the tool that helped me develop my intuition the most out of any spiritual practice I ever did. This is just like a gateway to psychic abilities, a gateway to psychic senses, to expanding them, because that's literally the tool that helped me sense energy better, that helped me sense things. Tarot on its own, it's not a magical tool itself on its own. So when you go to a tarot card reader, or when you just generally want to know how it works, it's basically not that the tarot deck itself is all-knowing and powerful. It's all in the hands of a person, and that person uses it to basically tap into their psychic senses. It's like a conductor. It's a conductor to make things more clear, to kind of give you clues of your intuition, and that's what advanced tarot readers do. That's the tip point of learning how to read tarot, is just to use it as a tool to enhance your intuition and psychic sense. But many people start off with this because they don't know how to trust themselves fully in order to embrace their intuition and psychic senses and psychic abilities purely, organically, So this is a great tool for people who want to develop confidence, want to develop intuition, want to learn how to trust their senses, how to develop their senses. Cards are also great because they deal with illustrations and symbolism. So as I said again, it kind of gives your senses a clue as to where this is going, where your psychic sense should focus on. Essentially, tarot is just like any other divination or psychic tool. It basically enhances a person's psychic senses. That's it, period. That's what it is. That's how it works. It's all about someone's psychic abilities. When I went to search about how cards work, I was always confused because everyone was saying, oh, it's just your subconscious and symbols and so on and so on. But it's all a very wrapped up interpretation that does not give you the proper answer. Proper answer is cards are just a tool for person to develop their psychic sense. It works as a conductor for someone's psychic abilities. That's it. The rest is purely technical. It's equivalent to having a crystal ball, for a psychic, but a bit more precise and more specific. It gives you a bit more imagination to work with based on the images, because they have so much like symbolism. Symbolism is a very important part of cards, because yes, it does kind of reach your subconscious, as in it has archetypes that will be recognizable in your subconscious. It all depends on every person, and every person will read cards differently. Yes, all the cards do have like a specific meaning to them. Every card has a specific archetype, a specific symbolism to it, but every person, the more psychically developed they are, the more intuitively it will come to them, and they will read it differently. That's why sometimes readers, they can pull up the same card and interpret it in a completely different way, or they can pull two different cards and interpret them in the same way, because it's all very personal to how person sees something. Psychics will, one will have visions, one will be hearing stuff, one will, and even when they have visions, every one of them will receive a different image and different vision, because it's up to their own interpretation and what personally relates to them, so it doesn't matter, when you develop your sense, all those cards will mean something else depending on the context, on the reading, it's of course really important to know the meanings of those cards as you're learning, as you're a beginner, but yeah, it's all intuition, it's just a tool. So that is my interpretation, this is my understanding of how this works so far, and it's really simple, it's not as complicated as everyone makes it to be. But I'm also aware of how intimidating it can be to people, especially because when I first got into reading, it was actually really comforting for me to have a deck that will just kind of tell me the message, and I don't have to kind of depend on solely myself, because it gave me kind of more confidence and comfort and trust, because I used to really not trust myself in that way, and I guess a lot of people getting into psychic abilities and this kind of practices, they feel kind of the same way. We have the imposter syndrome and other stuff like that, where we kind of question ourselves, or if we're giving a right message, and so on and so on. So this is really helpful, those tools. It gives us the comfort of something there being to help us navigate. But I believe the cards are an amazing tool to develop your intuition and your senses, and just reading into things, and I believe it is a great tool to help you also have confidence and trust into it. So yeah, that's my explanation of how cards work. It's really simple, it's not that complex as people make it out to be. It's a tool, and it's an amazing tool. I am a card lover myself. I love cards. I love everything from studying them to reading them to helping people with them and everything in between, basically. So I hope that explanation helped you. If you would like to see more content like that and would like me to record more about tarot cards and how to develop your skills, let me know. Have a great day. Bye bye.